from San Diego, California, founder and co-chair of Call to Work Ministry since 1996, 28 years ago. It was when I was very busy working for AT&T, busy teaching children and youth in the church, and raising our 2 children. God showed me how important it is to go to work with Jesus instead of leaving Jesus at home or at the church. For 33 years at work, I have an empty chair in my office, reminding me to co-create with Jesus, my ultimate CEO, while AT&T pays my salary. I had ongoing one-on-one discussions with Jesus in my conversations at work, in creative problem solving to add value at work, and in conflict resolution, putting people before projects. Jesus shows up and intervenes. I have enjoyed my work while living the Great Commission as a full-time missionary at work. Now, in my last 6 years of retirement or refinement, I focus on workplace and home life discipleship. We published 9 books, and God also blessed us with 2,000 graduates from our Call to Work online courses and a global team of 50 trainers. They in turn used our Call to Work curriculum and taught 800 students in their local and global communities. For example, Samson was struggling with his work, barely surviving. After taking our Call to Work, he thrives and becomes a blessing to others, saying, "Thank God it's Monday." We want to multiply more Samson. In 2019, I was named the Theology of Work Project Chinese Board Chair. Mason also gathered us in Manila for the Global Workplace Forum, and many more examples. I saw 2019 as the year of transforming the faith at work from moment into a movement. 5 years later, after COVID, God put 2024 as a year of accelerating and multiplying this movement. Like the examples I shared, we need to dedicate one day in our calendar to celebrate our work, while we celebrate mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, ice cream, pizza, donuts, and such. Would you be like Samson? My heart is for the world to be filled with Samson. Amen. In our workbook, see page 99 to learn about our GDFW. Hello? 99 for the 99% of us.
Welcome everybody to come to today's open workplace sessions, Shine Your Talk. How to shine your talk in sticky work situation. We just watched the video that we're going to have that work day and work face day at work. That's amazing. We really appreciate that, Yining, and lots of other folks to push for that global day of face day at work. It's such a great milestone. Before we start, let's open this with a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this opportunity to serve you, to talk about this important topic about communication. God, please use our mouth. Please use Elaine of her mouth to teach us how to use our communication, how to fire up our communication. This important soft skill, lifelong learning skill is so important so that we can communicate from our heart, communicate from your biblical principle, communicate in sticky situation in the workplace where other people may take our credit. how can we gracefully communicate in all kind of sticky situation, so that we can glorify your name and that we can learn the skill, um, by following your steps. Please use Elaine's mouse and flow through her, with like a living stream. We all want to be flow within you in the living stream. Oh God, please, use this following 90 minutes of this time. Put your Holy Spirit in every single person's heart, in every space. We also put our internet, networking or circumstance in your hand. God, in your control, everything is under your control. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, with that, we really want to open the floor for this very excited topic. I love Shine Your Talk. This is one of my favorite sessions where I don't know how many times, silly, probably 4 or 5 times, whichever you started since first courses, you open up on these communication courses. I have been in this course since then. And also personally, I've been in Toastmaster, right, for more than 10 years. This is a skill we want to keep sharpening. It's never ending skill that we always need because it's going to influence every workplace, family place, church, whichever we are, we need communication. So with that, I just want to give a short introduction to our speaker, our dear Elaine Kong. And Elder Elaine is Culture Work founder since 1996. How many years? 29. Wow, my
Yes.
goodness.
Next
Next
year's
year will be
30.
30 anniversary next year.
Yes.
And she has been had worked in the past at AT&T for 33 years, retired as AT&T director. And he also have been board of members for 8 organizations. I couldn't imagine how can you handle all of that. And he also have a very strong education, including Colel BS in EE and MSc, and also Princeton Master of Science in EE. And there are a lot of credentials, a lot of other. I'm not going to read all of that, but dear Elaine have living a life with demonstration, including her work in the workplace, including her serving ministry in God's kingdom, also her family have a happy marriage with 2 adult kids, with 1 granddaughters, such a happy life. And we can see that God have a great blessing we all want. Like in Elaine's life, we all want that in our life. Okay, I'm going to give the floor to dear Elaine.
Thank you,
You can
Mingzhen.
take it over from here.
Yes, thank you, Mingzhen, for the gracious and kind introduction. So I know everyone is blessed to have a great life as well. And communication is an important part of our life because how you communicate, it's how you build relationship with people. And how you build relationship, it's how you build a blessed, happy life. So I'm sharing with you from my decades of experience, making many mistakes. And I hope from my sharing that you don't suffer from the same mistakes I've made. So this is a open webinar to introduce our exciting course. Like Mingzhen said, we've taught this many times. the last time we taught this is 2 years ago, and every time we can offer this course, I'm very excited because most of us are Asians, and English is not our mother tongue. So it's always a challenge. And when we work in foreign-based companies, whether you're in North America, Asia, wherever you need to communicate in English, I am so passionate to share with you how I've learned and struggled. And I want you to be so good in your communication. So you build good relationship and a good life. So it's going to start at the end of April through end of June. And I'm very excited. This is the first time that we arranged it in a way that is not every single week. So it's on 5 Sundays, but you take a break in between, 1 or 2 weeks break. Why? Because you can rest, you can absorb, you can digest and practice. So I'm really happy with this arrangement. So we'll come back to this a little bit later. So there are a lot of tools. I even spent a few $1,000s and it took a communication course at MIT. And I'm going to share that learning with you. And you don't have to spend a few $1,000s. I think it's only like $100 to register for this 5-week course. So I'm going to start with the basic introduction and the background. When you are at work, and of course, communication applies for family, for community, for school. I understand we may have some teenager among us today. So wherever you interact, you need to communicate. So I'm going to just start with some baseline. If in the setting of work, how do you look at work? And a very brief introduction, how do you look at work? That defines the way we communicate. So for me, as you heard in the little video earlier, why do I work? Who do I work for? If you remember the video, I said, God is my CEO and my company pays for the salary. So it's a very amazing arrangement. So when I look at work, I was not just working for the company or for my human boss. I know I'm working for God, who's the creator. So I cannot ask for a better boss than the God Almighty and the creator. And I know work, it's a blessing. I know a lot of times we feel very dragging our feet. Tomorrow's Monday. Oh, we have to go to work again. And I did have some challenging time. The whole year I couldn't face Monday, and I'll tell more of those stories in my class in the future. But I know work is intended to be a blessing because God is the first worker and he gave us the work to bless us, to grow us, not just to make money and make a living and support our family and grow in our ranking or in our salary. It's also for growing us as a person. So God is my CEO, and I find a very rich meaning of work for me as a Christian to understand that. So from way back in the beginning of the Bible, Genesis chapter 2, God gave the work to Adam and Eve to take care of the garden, take care of all the creation. And then all the way to the New Testament, in the same way, Jesus and Paul, they're the main characters in the New Testament. For those of you who are good in numbers and math, and maybe Minzhen is very good. She's a top executive in a high-tech company. So if you look at these numbers, what percentage of Jesus and Paul's public appearance or parables or miracles were in the marketplace, in the workplace, not in the temple? What percentage do you estimate, Minzhen? What percentage is that?
I would
It's
think 15.
over 90%. 122 of the 132, right? 45
Wow.
of 52, 39 of 40. So 90% of the work that Jesus imparted were in the workplace, not in the temple. So in the same way, God cares a lot about our work, and he's our CEO. And in fact, in year 2000, the Fortune magazine cover story, believe it or not, the title is God is my CEO. And we know Fortune magazine is not a Christian magazine, but it's a economy magazine. And yet that whole issue, they interviewed 20 some people from different industries that they were accomplished, and they claim God is their CEO because they believe God bless us with our work and he's our CEO. And Colossians 3:23 tells us that we don't just do it for our human master, but we do the work for the Lord with all our hearts. So let's look into some cartoon and how all this will help us communicate better. So these three people, you ask them, what do you think about work? Gentleman number one on the right said, oh, my work is a nightmare. In fact, he used a curse word. I have to cover it, and I type up nightmare. That's as best as I could do it. He just did not like his work. And the second person in the middle, the gentleman with no hair, he said, oh, well, my work is my investment. The more I put in, the more I get back. That's nothing wrong with that. That is a good thing. And yet, if you expect what you put in and what you're getting back, like how much you're getting paid, how high is your rank, how much approval you're getting from people. If you look for that as your motivation, as your goal, you're going to be disappointed, and your goal is going to keep moving. It's like a moving target. So it's not the best mindset to look at work. While getting paid, getting high rank is nothing wrong. It's neutral. It's a good thing. It's the result of your good work. So the best attitude toward work is this lady, number 3 on the left, and say, well, my work is a calling. And we'll go deeper to see that cartoon in a construction site, looking at these 3 brick workers back into the 17th century. The architect Christopher Wren in Britain designed and architect the St. Paul Cathedral. And he visited the construction site and he asked these 3 construction workers, what are you doing? What is your work? So these 3 construction workers have a very different mindset. And as a result, their work output is very different. Even though, Mingzhen, are they doing the same action? Are they doing the same work? All 3 workers, are they doing the same work?
They're doing the same work
And yet with a different mindset. Guess
with
what?
different mindset and motivation. Yeah.
Yes, different mindset, motivation. So brick worker number 1 on the left say, whoa, it's 5 o'clock. I'm getting out of here. Because he's just doing brick by brick, very short-sighted. So thinking about your work, your school, your life, if you're very short-sighted, only thinking brick by brick, you are going to dread going to work. You're going to hate it. You're going to get out of it when it's time. It's gone. I'm leaving. The second person, again, think of it as an investment. The second brick worker say, well, I'm building a wall. So he's not as short-sighted, just brick by brick. He's at least seeing a wall while I'm getting paid. So that's still not good enough. The best is this third brick worker. He can see the big picture. He said, oh, I am building a cathedral, the St. Paul's Cathedral, then everybody will come and worship God. So look at how cool that I came up with these 3 comparisons. The first, brick workers on the clock. Second, on a career. The third is the best. It's a calling. He's called to build this cathedral. He see the big picture. The first brick worker doing work he hate. Second, doing work he's paid. Not bad. Nothing wrong with it, but that's not good enough. The third brick worker is what we want to be, that we're doing work that we are made, created by God, using your talent, your gifts, how you're going to contribute with your hard skill and your soft skill. And that's what we're going to learn today about communication, using the gifts that God has created and made you. And look at the result. The 3 brick workers' result are totally different. Brick worker 1 just getting pay and possession, which is minimum. Very little. You're shortchanging yourself. You're just getting paid for your work. You're not getting satisfaction. The brick worker number 2 is happy with position, and he even want power and pride. It's getting a little bit negative because it's going to be disappointing when you not getting the power that you thought you want. So the best is, again, third worker. He ended up getting a purpose-driven life. And that is the satisfaction that we want to strive for. So with that basic understanding of work, and know that God cares about your work and your work matters to God. So when you communicate, you're not on your own. When you go to work, you're not on your own. So you heard in the video earlier, in 33 years of my work in my office, what do I have, Mingzhen, in my office?
Empty chair
I have
for
an empty
Jesus.
chair for Jesus. Now, of course, Jesus is a spirit. He does not need the chair. I need the chair to remind me that I didn't go to work alone. It would be so scary if I were to go to work alone. So I'm so thankful for 33 years. And now to this day, in my retirement, I know I partner with Jesus in every conversation, in every sticky situation that we're going to look into. So that empty chair is appearing in our books. So we have these two Chinese books, Call to Work, on the meaning and planning of work, and the art of AQ leadership. Both books, you see the book cover? Do you see the empty chair?
Yes.
And we even have coworker creating this, baking this cake and designing this cake with the book cover. I'm just fascinated. And that's how I enjoy going to work. And that's why I said, thank God it's Monday. That's how I have joy at work, and including my communication. So we're going to go through a lot of sticky and difficult situation. How can I still find joy at work? So like we said earlier, while I was really busy with work, with two young children, and busy serving in the church, I found the importance of faith at work integration. So I started this nonprofit named Call to Work to help people to learn to say how to say tomorrow. Thank God it's Monday. Yes, it's Monday, because I can work with God and partner with Him how to communicate, how to deal with all these sticky situation. So 2021, we celebrated 25 years. Next year, we're going to have a big celebration for 30th anniversary. So when we celebrated 25th anniversary or silver anniversary, you see we have all kinds of leaders, Caucasians, Asians, from all around the world. There are 25 of them for the 25 years of celebration, joining our celebration 5 years ago. So now that I know God is my CEO, what is my purpose and my goal at work? How am I going to communicate? Because work is intended to be a blessing. So my two simple goals at work is to glorify God in all that I do and say, and to be a blessing to other people. So with that in mind, as we go through today's many sticky situation, are you giving glory to God, and are you blessing other people in how you communicate? Because at work, experienced it for the 33 years that I worked, that I am so grateful for the blessing I received from God, and that I can be a blessing to others, and that I didn't go to work alone. I didn't go to work leaving Jesus at the church, at home, or outside my office. He's right there in my office, in that empty chair reminder. And I can say, thank God it's Monday. So there's another course that we'll say at the end on the art of AQ leadership. I'm teaching that in Chinese, and that is equipping us. How do we work? How do you build up your leadership and influence others? And today, now we're going to focus on how to shine your talk. How do you communicate? And together with leadership and communication, you're going to shine. You're going to be a very accomplished, satisfying, and successful worker. So when we talk about communication, and you think about what the Bible will say on wise communication, so you see in the Old Testament, many scriptures from the book of Proverbs, from Ecclesiastes, tell us all the blue ones are good and the red ones not good. So words Your tongue, even though small, is very powerful. It could be positive power if you say something encouraging, or you stay silent is better. Talking less is better than talking too much. The more you talk, the more mistake you may make. So you need to be very careful what you say. Every word has power. Is it positive power, building people up, or is it negative power that really break your relationship? So the Old Testament tell us that. And then the New Testament, whether it's James, Ephesians, and all the different epistles, and even the book of Matthew, tells us that we need to be quick to listen. So how many ears do we have? Obviously, how many means it?
Two.
And how many mouths do we have?
One.
One mouth. So God already created and designed us to listen 2 times as much as we speak. So James says so powerfully, quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. And make sure what we say is wholesome versus unwholesome. And be gracious. Have a good taste of salt, that nice flavor, but not obnoxious or negative flavor. And be very gentle and respectful. We're going to give you example of that. So the many verses in the Bible tells us how to communicate. So let me start with something really profound, short and sweet. In Chinese, 轻声说重话. Something important, you speak in a gentle and firm voice. Wow, this is elegant. You see their facial expression? This is profound. How can you say something important without screaming and yelling? Gentle and firm. That's what we're going to practice. And in many sticky situations, you're going to see how to be gentle and firm. Sound like an oxymoron. How can you be gentle and firm? Yes, you can, including our marriage, including our parenting. So to start with that, you need to be calm. To be gentle and firm, you need to have high emotional quotient. And look at this lady's viewing this beautiful sunset. It's like an emotional, spiritual balcony that you can rest. So think about calm. So typical EQ, emotional quotient definition is aware of your emotions, how to monitor it, and aware of others' emotion and how to have empathy and build good social relations. So to me, this is my definition. So Mingzhen, can you read my 12-word definition of EQ?
Don't let others' words and actions degrade your value. Control your response.
Yes, that's my definition based on my decades of experience. For me to have high EQ, regardless what Mingzhen may say to me, how mean she is to me, and of course she's not, just as an example, however rude she is to me or unfair or challenging to me, I'm not going to let her words and action degrade my value and control my response. That's high emotional quotient. Think about situations when you lose your cool, when you cannot be gentle and firm because you got emotional, affected by people's words and actions. You have low EQ. So we want to set a boundary and raise up the guard rail so that what people say, I have a shield. I'm going to be calm, enjoying and relaxing in this spiritual balcony, and that my value going to remain as my own core value, and they're not going to dictate my response. Because if I let them control my response, I become a slave to their actions and their words, and I don't want to do that. So that is an important prerequisite to have high EQ. So how do you speak gently and firmly? It's a powerful skill. I practice this for decades. When you do that, you would express what's important, the truth, with strength and not being aggressive. So one of the tips, and you see all these examples in the bottom, is using the I statement. This is very powerful, and I encourage you to take screenshots because you may not know the structure of the statement, and yet you can take a copy and then practice it when you need it. So stay calm, high EQ, low voice, and steady. Oftentimes when we're emotional, you speak fast. When you're speaking too fast, you lose your cool and you're not clear. People are not following and you're not being confident or assertive. We're going to talk a lot about assertive later on. So firm, and yet we call this a gentle authority. You like that? So let's take a look as an example. Set boundary. We need to learn to set boundaries. So important, especially Asians, women, Christians. We tend to be very nice. It's okay to be nice, but you need to learn how to be assertive and set boundary. So here's an I statement. I want to support this project, but I need to be clear. I cannot take on extra work without adjusting priorities. That's something you could tell your project leader or your boss. And of course, how you express it matters. You don't want to say it in a rude way, right? Your body language, your tone, all add to your communication. And in our course, we'll study more in detail how these different parts of communication will affect. So this is an I statement to set boundary. When you have to name a problem, you need to address the issue. That's what you need to be firm on. At the same time, you want to invite a conversation and a dialogue. That's what you need to be gentle with. So you could say, I noticed there was tension in our last meeting. I'd like to understand what's going on so we can move forward together. So this is inviting a conversation. So that's firm and gentle. Asking for what you need. When you need a certain support, that's a firm requirement, and you need to be graceful and show goodwill to be gentle. So how you say that? I really appreciate more clarity on the direction. It helps me to do my best work. So you need clear direction, and that you're showing the intention is to deliver your best work. So you're not complaining and say, well, you have poor direction. So you're now using you statement. You're already accusing them that they're not clear. So you speak on your own behalf. You are always entitled the right to speak on your own behalf, right? You cannot accuse people, but you can express your own need and speak on your own behalf. So that's a good I statement to learn. Number 4, responding to some disrespectful actions. So you need to be firm, set boundary, call out that behavior without accusing them. So it's really tricky and gentle, right? So you need to have a assumption that the intention is positive. So let's find out. So you don't want to assume that they have a ill intention. You want to give them the benefit of a doubt. So again, an I statement. I want us to work well together, but I felt uncomfortable with how that was said, meaning what they said, right? So instead of you said that, say how that was said, can we speak respectfully going forward? Wow. What do you think about that, Minzhen?
That's pretty straightforward and
So firm and gentle, right?
mhm,
Without
powerful.
offending them,
Yes. Mhm.
without accusing them, you're expressing how you feel, right? Last example on being firm and gentle. Saying no without guilt. So you're unapologetic and you have a kind tone. So here's how you say, I wish I could help this time, but I really need to say no so I can stay focused on my current responsibilities. So this is a short example. I am very experienced in saying no. And at the same time, people would tell me that while Elaine said no, that they didn't even feel bad about it. Why? because I didn't just end here. I would go further to explore, understand they have a need to get support, and I can even make suggestion how other alternative approach. So that way, I understand the need and how I can address the need without adding the work to my plate. So it will be a great success if you could say no and they don't feel offended and they also feel that you are on their side and you're helping them. So these are good examples of being firm and being gentle. So think about that. So in parenting, switching gear for a minute, we do this all the time. If you use parenting as an example and apply that to work, same concept. The best way of parenting, and I often talk about parenting in my classes, in my workshops, that we also said we need to be gentle and firm. We need to be graceful and be truthful. 温和而坚定，有恩典，有真理。So, in fact, this is very biblical. If you look at the book of John, chapter 1, even Jesus himself, he came to this world to meet us where we are. And that is the phrase that we need to watch out. And right here, meet them where they are. Whoever you're communicating with, your family members, your co-workers, your friends, you need to meet them where they are. Naomi, can you help me turn off the...
Yeah, I just did.
Thank you. So meet people where they are. You need to understand where they are. So that's what Jesus did. He came among human beings because he wanted to meet us where we are so that he can save us. So he came full of grace and truth. In the same way, in our communication, we need to have grace. We need to have truth. That means your gentleness and your firmness. So let me give you a very quick example. High EQ, gentle and firm. This is a very popular story I said all the time. So as I started working for a high-tech company as a young engineer, very inexperienced and Asian among mostly male and Caucasians. In meetings, I could be timid, I could be shy, no confident. I didn't want to say anything. And over time, I learned and practiced. And I talked to my CEO, God, and I said, oh, okay, I have this idea. What do you think, God? And he said, good idea. So I prayed and became more courageous and shared my idea in a meeting. And after I shared the idea, the room of 20 people was silent. They basically ignored me and thought that I was not there, as if I didn't exist, as if I were transparent, as if I didn't talk, and I did. Then a few seconds later, tall Caucasian gentleman, John Smith, said the same idea and made that suggestion that I just made. And then the whole room of 20 some people said, whoa, John, what a good idea. Whoa. So if I had low EQ, I may get upset. I may yell at people. I may just storm out of the room. No, I talk to my ultimate CEO, talk to God. What should I do? Have my one-on-one. And I said, John, thank you for agreeing with my idea. Let's work on this idea and the project together and making it a success so our team can have more value and accomplishment for our company. What do you think about that, Mingzhen?
That's a very smart and intelligent way of telling. First of all, you acknowledge, John, pick your ideas. Secondly, you are very graciously willing to work together.
Yes. Gentle and firm, right? Calm. Obviously, I said something people didn't acknowledge, and yet I did say it, and then John said the same thing. So I thank him for agreeing with my ideas. So that is top-notch skill. And that's an example of Matthew 10:16. Shrewd as snakes and innocent as doves. We're pretty good with innocent as doves, but shrewd as snake is a challenge. And that's something we need to work on. That's the firm. That is the truth. How do we say it in an elegant way? So now we're going to go into 10 sticky situation. Are you ready? We have top 10 sticky situation. We have all kinds of sticky situations at work, don't we? Whenever you have people, there's going to be problem. Whenever there's people, you're going to have sticky situation. You're going to have conflicts. And let me be clear. When you come to my Shine Your Talk course, you're going to learn that conflict is not all bad. You're going to learn there's some amazing blessings. They're like 3-hour blessing for conflict that we won't have time to talk about today. But we will talk about sticky situation. How can you address these conflicts and give constructive feedback and set boundary, like the example I gave earlier? So we're going to have 10 sticky ones, and we'll ultimately, the goal is to show your confidence and show your professionalism. You don't want to lose your cool. You want to build up your image, your personal brand as confident, professional. So let's dive in. Here are some examples of sticky situation. Your boss overloads you. Your boss criticizes your work's not recognized, others take your credit. Your coworkers ask you to help when you have already a very overloaded schedule. I already told you an example. Your input is ignored at work in the meetings, or your team does not respect your guidance. How do you give them constructive feedback? So these are some examples. So let's dive in. So for any sticky situation, I want you to think about these 6 questions to find out the reason. And you get to know me coming up with a lot of acrostic to help us remember. So the reason acrostic help us to face a sticky situation by asking, reason, why do they do that to me? Why am I facing this sticky situation? Why are they doing it to me? What is the reason? E, empathy. Okay, now I know why they're doing it. So how can I express empathy to the need? So we'll analyze one by one in a minute. A, how do I address the need? Of course, we need to set boundary, not just being abused or just letting them do whatever, right? So address the need and set boundary. Then how can we offer solution to figure that out? Hopefully it's going to be a win-win. And then ultimately, and how do you nurture respect? Because all our relationship and communication is about building trust and building respect and building a positive personal brand that's professional and confident. So how do I want to accomplish that? So remember these 6 questions. We'll go into examples. So here's the first example. Your work is not recognized. Others take your credit. I know many times my student would ask me, yes, I face that, and many of our friends and students do face that. Look at these people stealing your credit, your ideas. So think about these 6 questions. Why do they do that? Well, I guess they want to shine. They want to be recognized without doing hard work. So you really feel the empathy for them, that they're not as capable as you are. They're taking your idea. So they want to be recognized too. So how can you have empathy and say, yeah, how could they perhaps contribute and be part of this idea that you have? Acknowledging that that's something they need without spoiling them, without being taken advantage of, and setting boundary. And how can you offer the solution that's win-win? It's your idea, and perhaps how they can contribute using what they're good at, and then we can team up together and build up trust. So that's the rationale. So with that in mind, here's an example of how you communicate to stay professional and assertive. So a team may present your idea as is their own in a meeting. So the wrong approach, or the red are bad, the green and blue are good. So take screenshots so we can use this in your own situation. You stole my idea. Is that a good idea? That's not an I statement, it's an accusation. You ruined the relationship. So the better approach is, well, I appreciate you bringing up that idea. I love to expand on it since I was working on that concept earlier. It's similar to my response in the meeting, right? Acknowledging, you don't, it's clear if it's your idea, you don't even need to say that, right? So you elaborate and build on it. I'm glad our team is aligned on this. I've been developing this concept and I love to share some of my findings. Because if it's your idea, you have worked on it more, you're more knowledgeable, you're more you can say about it. So build on. So it's actually to your credit, right? That they are stealing your idea means it's good. So without accusing them, you build on. So these are ways you can speak. And this will reclaim your credit without causing unnecessary conflict. What do you think about that, Mingzhen?
Yeah, that's very assertive, really demonstrating the gentle and firm and I
Yes.
statement.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Now let's look at the second sticky situation. Wow, many students would ask me, some of my team subordinate are not doing a good job. How can I give constructive feedback? So the most popular way is the sandwich style, and I'll explain that more in detail. Many of you probably know about this. The feedback sandwich style is the two bread are both positive statements, and then the meat in the middle is the constructive feedback and suggestion. So a team member consistently miss deadlines. I'm sure we've experienced that. Have you experienced that, Mingzhen? People
Yes, of
miss
course. As
deadlines.
long there's
Yes.
people.
Yes, that's right. So wrong approach is this you statement, right? Watch out. Avoid your you statement. Here you go. You're always late with your work. I'm sure we've said that and we've heard that. Not good. You need to do better. Not good. So a better approach again is the I statement. I really appreciate the effort you put into your work. So starting with the bread, right? Need to be sincere and truthful, cannot make it up. So you have to find something good. You have to dig it up. Got to have something good. At least the effort they put in, right? I've noticed, you see, don't say but. If you say but, whatever you just said good, it's gone out the window. Okay,
Cancelled.
don't say
Use
but.
and.
And I've noticed that deadlines have been a challenge recently. Is there anything I can do to support you so we can stay on track? So it's a very clear objective. It's a common objective. I know you're capable of great work. Wow, that's assuring them. That's the second piece of the bread, the bottom. And I love to find a solution together. How do you feel, Mingzhen? If you're the one missing this deadline and I'm saying this to you, how do you feel about that?
Our catch up.
Feel better because
Feel
we
better.
are
We're in the same
focusing on
team. Like,
solution. We're on the same
yeah,
team.
you're on my
Exactly.
side.
I'm on your side. Exactly. I'm on your side. I want to work with you together. How can I help you? This is a beautiful statement. And keeping up the morale, right? This is great. So the sandwich style, it's very powerful and I use this every day. I use it at home, use it in meetings, in ministries with you need to be wise in using it. I have internalized it. So remember, the two breads are positive and beneficial to them, right? You just saw an example. Sometimes you may need to have multiple pieces of bread in order to set the right tone to affirm them and make sure your piece of meat don't just be like 3 seconds, that they didn't even get your point. Right? If you just say all these good bread, top and bottom, and your recommendation or suggestion or your constructive criticism is only short time, they don't even get your point. So make sure you elaborate. on your suggestion as well. So here's an example. I like how you follow through with your responsibility. And I suggest you pay more attention to detail, Need to elaborate and say more. Otherwise, they're going to miss your and. This way, it's always my favorite to wrap up the bar to see what's in it for me with them. What's in it for me, right? This way, so it's again us, we, our project will benefit from your valuable contributions and be successful. What do you think about that? Right? So this is powerful. Practice this all the time. The third sticky situation. Oh my, I'm sure many of us can match with this case. I have a difficult boss who micromanage you. So how am I going to set boundary in a respectful way? So the scenario is your manager constantly checking on minor details. And some of us may be guilty of doing that ourselves, huh? Making it very hard for the worker to focus. I'm sure many of us been there on either side. The wrong approach, again, is this bad you statement. Can you stop checking on me every hour? It's annoying, it's frustrating. I hope we don't say that because you just burn your bridge and your relationship with your boss or team leader. The better approach. I really value your input and I want to make sure I'm delivering what you need. Would you help? Would it help if I provided a daily and a weekly update so we can both stay aligned without constant check-in and saving you some time? Right? So you think from their perspective. So again, the reason, why are they checking on you so often? Because they like detail, right? So can you have empathy? You want to also save their time of keep checking on you and you don't want to be annoyed all this time, right? So this statement say, I want to make sure I'm delivering what you need, right? You're trying to address their need and set boundary and offer solution. So to be honest, the best way is proactive one-on-ones. If you have good one-on-one with your boss, and we're going to learn that in our 5-week course, very powerful, practical way of designing your one-on-one with your boss that you guarantee that your boss will be happy and not to be checking on you, and they'll have more time to themselves and you have more space to yourselves. So that assure that your boss will give you more autonomy. So the proactive one-on-one is very much important and needed. The fourth key situation, navigating, and many students ask me about that. How do you navigate a salary or promotion discussion? Wow, we're very interested in this. So how do you frame around value? What is your value adding to this group, to this team, to this business, to this company? What is your value? Not just your desire. Everybody want to get more pay, right? Everybody want to get promoted. You got to justify that. Again, when you have healthy relationship and regular rhythm one-on-one with your boss, which is critical, they should know your value. You don't have to negotiate. They should recognize that. So the scenario is you feel you deserve a raise, are not sure how to bring it up. So the wrong approach, I think I should be making more money. Do you think your boss going to listen to you, Mingzhen?
That's that probably not.
It's already right off the bat, death on arrival, right? Before you even go further. So here's a better approach. And again, it's not about the
It
statement.
may
It's about
backfire.
yeah, backfire, right? And it's not about the statement here. It's really about your demonstration of your capability along the way. Again, that one-on-one with your boss is critical. So here's what you should say. Over the past year, I've taken on additional responsibilities, improved the processes, and you put in some numbers, reducing time by 10% and cost cutting by 20%, just like how I teach you how to interview in your resume. Got to be very specific. And contributed to key projects that have brought results. Again, quantify the result. I love to discuss a salary adjustment that reflects this growth. So that is subtle and calm and fact-based. Again, it's not about this statement. It's really your one-on-one and ongoing relationship with your boss. So this makes your contribution valuable and specific instead of saying, oh, I just want more money. The fifth of the 10 sticky situation is managing a coworker who talks too much and wastes time. And I saw some of the questions coming in earlier. One of them about how when someone is talking, dominating the meeting, what do you do? So here's an example, could be relevant and applicable. So the idea is to be direct and yet polite. Remember, gentle and firm. The scenario is a coworker constantly chat with you, making it hard to focus. The wrong approach is, can you stop talking? I need to work. So you may not have a good coworker anymore if you said that. So a better approach is, I really enjoy our conversations, and I'm on a tight deadline right now. Can we catch up over lunch instead, or later, or tomorrow? However way you want to say that. So at least you offer an alternative and that you really need to focus on your work. I statement, right? So that acknowledge them and their interest of talking to you while protecting your time. Again, gentle and firm. Sticky situation number 6. Responding to a workplace gossip. Many students ask me about that too. What if people start talking to you about gossip and yet I don't want to be part of it? So you shift the conversation. So the scenario is a coworker tries to involve you in a gossip about another team. The wrong approach is, oh, really? Oh, what did they do? And then you start asking and you start getting into more gossiping. No, this is not a time to show curiosity, as much as I often teach you to be more curious and ask questions. But in the case of the gossip, you want to shift the conversation. You say, I try to focus on the work rather than the personal matters. Have you had a chance to look at that new project? And sometimes people say, oh, I have a meeting I need to go to. Oh, I have a deadline I need to meet, so I need to go to the work. So leave the place or change the topic to a different, redirect the conversation without making it awkward, without embarrassing them. What do you think about that, Mingzhen?
Yeah, it's not a good idea to join the gossip. That's like a principle that,
Yes.
right? But then you
Gossip,
have to express that way. Make people feel like you're not,
authentic.
yeah, offending them or isolated from them.
Yes. And
And
that
like social.
you're a goody two shoe, right? Oh, you're all good and you're not part of it. So it's very tricky.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Yeah.
next sticky situation, I'm sure many of us, especially in these day and age, we're always asked to do more with less resources, less budget, less people, and yet we're asked to do more. Wow. How do I communicate and be assertive? In our 5-week class for Shine Your Talk or the 8-week class on the art of AQ leadership, we'll go much more detail what is assertive. So my boss overloads me with work. What do I do? So again, think about those 6 questions. Well, because my boss overload them with work, right? Why are they overloading with work? Probably because the senior management asked them to do more. So it's kind of passed along, ripple effect to us. So I need to express empathy. Wow, boss, it must be difficult to have all these aggressive deliverables and timeline from our senior VP. And let's discuss how to address that need. And while set boundary doesn't mean that you're going to work overnight, overtime always, and weekends. You need to know how to set boundary. We all have our life and how to offer solution to build trust. So let's look at how do we communicate. When you want to decline the extra work without sounding unhelpful. How do you say no while offering alternatives? So earlier in the first half of our talk already gave you some examples. So let's look at these very specific ones. Your boss asks you to take on another project when you are already overwhelmed. So wrong approaches. I can't take on any more work. I've had enough. I'm like up to here. Not good. Even though it's an I statement. The better approach is, well, I love to help, but my current workload is really at full capacity. If this is a priority, would you like me to deprioritize something else? Or is there someone else who can assist? So these are alternatives. This shows your willingness while maintaining boundaries. And again, it's not just this statement. It's really your ongoing relationship, going back to your one-on-one with your boss, and they should know. And in my teaching for one-on-one includes solutions that avoid facing these difficult, sticky situations. Number 8, addressing conflict with the teammates. So the skill is to find common ground and de-escalate the tension. The scenario is a disagreement with a coworker, and it's making collaboration difficult. I hear this all the time. So the wrong approach is, you're impossible to work with. Whoa, that would be terrible. I'm sure you don't say that. So this is an extreme example, huh? Any you statement, watch out. So here's an I statement. I feel like we've had some challenges working together, and I really like to find a way to collaborate more smoothly. What can we do to make this process work better for both of us? So pay attention. It's not just about me, myself, and I. It's about together. It's about win-win. That is the good approach. So that it's about solution. How can we work together instead of blaming people? Because once you blame people, you are being lame. Got that? So we don't want to do that. So we need to take on our responsibility. Situation number 9. My coworker asked for my help when I'm already overloaded in my schedule. I'm sure that happens to you as well. So think about these 6 questions, right? Because they must be overloaded. I need to feel how they feel, have empathy, and yet how can we share the workload without killing myself, right? And set boundary. What are some alternative solutions? First of all, we need to know and be smart in managing my own time management. And you can convey this in a similar way to your coworker. Together, how can we clearly understand the priority of our work, align to your goal? So this is a whole course on its own. Time management is one of my favorite. And the time management help you to define what's important and urgent. That's quadrant 1, that you've got to do them right away because your boss needs it. It's urgent. It's due tomorrow, and it's important, aligned to the company's priority. So you may spend 20-25% of your time. And then bucket quadrant 2 is my favorite quadrant. It's the best quadrant to live in. It's important, aligned to your priorities, your goals, and yet do them when it's not urgent. So there's no pressure. If it's in Q1, always doing fire drill, urgent, not healthy. So contain that to 20-25%. So Q2, it's important and not urgent. Wow, I want to maximize that. For example, exercise, doing my devotions, building relationship with my family, my coworkers, my boss. Important and not urgent. I need to decide to do that. So allocate 65-80% of your time. And being proactive, your one-on-one with your boss is so important. Don't just cancel the appointment because you have some other fire drill. While it's not urgent, it's important. So decide to do that. So people would allocate their email, their meetings, their time deliverables according to Q1 and Q2. So you're proactive, predictive, so you can prevent some problems. Otherwise, you're going to build up problems. So we don't even need to talk about Q3 and Q4 because those are not important. Unfortunately, we tend to spend a lot of time on those. Not important and urgent, Q3, like ding, 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 whatever messaging you're getting or phone call or email. Don't get distracted. And those are not important. Align to your priority. So it may seem urgent, people knocking on your door, close the door, or just put a sign out, this is focus time. Or some people block their calendar so that people cannot make meeting invitation on a time that you need to focus on the important and the urgent or not urgent. So delegate some of those to people. And then only 15%. And in Q4, no more than 1%. Not important, not urgent. Delete those. Unfortunately, if we are honest to ourselves, we may end up flipping this chart and spending a lot of time in Q4. So with this in mind, that helps you and your coworker to figure out what is the work that we have and where do we put in the quadrant and how can we best assign the time. Then you can use this skill, this tool called Wise Appeal to communicate. As you figure out your time, your priority, and allocation, and you could say, I understand you want me to help you with this tool that you need to learn how to do. I have an issue with it right now because I'm in the middle of finishing this presentation that I need to give to my boss at 5 o'clock today. Could I please come back to you tomorrow so that we could set up some time to look into the tool? How do you feel, Mingzhen, if I say these three things in a way of responding to your request for my help? How do you
Or
feel about
reconsider.
Do you feel good that I respond this way, or do you feel sad that I didn't help you right away?
Well, I feel understandable.
Yeah. So you feel that I understand your need, right? So the
Mhm.
trick with this 3-step is that I state the need. I understand your need. You state the need. And I have an issue right now because I'm doing something, whatever you're doing. And then you offer a solution. This is a powerful tool. So of the
Right.
many communication tools, sandwich tool and the wise appeal are two of my favorite and use this often. So capture this in a screenshot and practice it. Because that way you state their need, you have your issue, you also calmly, gentle, and firm, and that you offer a solution. So these are all good. Last one. My boss often criticizes my work. I'm sure we have experienced that. And some extreme cases could be very abusive at times. So we need to be very careful. Again, you ask these reasons, 6 questions. Why do they criticize your work? And maybe you really need to improve your work. So you need to communicate how to do that. So some harsh criticism, these are 7 steps to consider. If it's really harsh criticism, distance yourself from the situation, kind of set some space. Try to understand your boss' intention. Why are they thinking this way? And then summarize what the criticism is and restate it. Practice active listening. We're going to learn that in our 5-week class. And explain your perspective, why you're seeing it differently, and ask question, engage in a conversation, in a dialogue. Ask why the boss think this way, and then suggest an action plan. And then also offer up some criticism of your own, how you think of yourself, of the communication or the process. So these is not easy, but these will be 7 steps that I would recommend. So to wrap up, because I want to get to your Q&A, there's some very, very good questions that I want to answer. So in conclusion, all sticky situations happen all the time. So I have these 3 S. Stay calm, solution-oriented, speak with clarity and respect, gentle and firm. You can pause before you respond. Don't rush into it. It's okay to slow down and don't get emotional. Remember EQ, don't let people's words and action degrade your value and control your response. Use I statement. We have many examples today. Express concern, how you feel, without pointing finger and blaming them. find win-win solutions so that we have mutual benefit. So if you use these techniques, your brand is going to be confident and professional. So I'm going to skip these because of the time and go and I'll put these into our, so there are a lot we can learn from Dale Carnegie. So I'll put this in our 5-week course when you come back. So let me wrap up with some quick resources and then we'll answer your questions. So we have 9 books. 6 are Chinese and 1 are bilingual, English and Chinese, and 2 are English. So the one we're learning is Shine Your Talk. Although this ebook, when you register for the course, you get the free ebook. And it's only part of the course. This is only partial. So the course has a lot more tools than this book includes. And then the other one on the left here is 八项领导力的艺术, The Art of 8Q Leadership, the Chinese book. That's the course that I'll be teaching also. So you can choose which one you or you want to take both. I know some people who take both. And the QR code will take you to where you can get these books. And there's also a Chinese version of the Shine Your Talk. Slightly different content, but some similar concept. 职场沟通八达通 is a very popular one. And most of these books has video to go along with them. So if you go to the ASC website in this QR code, you see I have a whole page of books under my name. So you can go find those. So the 2 courses that we are offering in the next few months is the Chinese one, 八项领导力的艺术 on the left, and then Shine Your Talk on the right. And today is the webinar for Shine Your Talk. So for the 8Q leadership, it's going to be 8 Tuesday evening in the US time for 2 hours every week. And every week we learn one of the 8 quotients to help us really build up our leadership skill. It's going to be in Mandarin, and we'll learn the relationship with God, with yourself, with people and projects. And this is decades of my work experience as a leader in my company, executive education from Cornell, Columbia, UPenn, and a lot of Bible teaching that together I summarize. And I taught this many, many times. And Mingzhen also took it many, many times. And you continue to learn. So it's very practical. So from May to July, that we'll learn 8 weeks. So welcome you to look into the QR code to learn more. And you'll get the free ebook for this registration. And all my students can do one-on-one with me. Just coming to the workshop would not get one-on-one, but my student can. So in the past, like last year, we have 116 students, people from all over the country, Canada, overseas, Asia, mostly females, always female who like to learn more. So we see many guys here today. So welcome you to come take our class. And you get graduation, you get certificate, and then you get prizes for half price registration for future courses. And our homework is very productive. It's really not for me to grade your homework, it's for tools for you to keep for yourself. It's very practical. And we have people from all ages, the 20s into the 60s, and then all different career and professions. So we welcome you to join us. We have small group leaders, we have class leaders, and MC like Mingzhen's been very faithful serving with us. In a small group of 6 people or so, you have small group discussion, and then we have partners throughout the week to support each other. So it's a very powerful learning that is not just passive learning, it's active learning. So this is the Shine Your Talk schedule from end of April. 5 Sundays. Every class is 2 hours. So it's Sunday afternoon, this time, 4:30 Pacific. In America, in Asia, it's 7:30 in the morning. And you get the free ebook, and you also can get one-on-one. And we also encourage parents, children to come learn together. College student, young professional. We see some family already registered their students, their children to join. So this included what I learned from MIT that I pay a few $1,000s to learn. This has incredible collection of tools to help you to communicate and being assertive, firm, gentle, and professional and confident. And bonus, you get 5 pages of these incredible mind map. Past students, graduate who learned this, and this is lesson 1, to learn the 11 types of bosses. How do you lead up? We have all kinds of bosses. So this student, graduate, summarize all the key tools into a mind map. So every student would get one of these mind map for each one of the chapters. So here's the one-on-one. So lesson 1, we're going to learn how to build good relationship with your boss. How do you communicate in a very powerful way? So this is the table of content for the Shine Your Top ebook. Some sticky situation. Again, this is partial of what we're going to teach. And this is a Chinese version, and all these are in the website. And in our class, we make sure it's not just knowledge, it's actually action. It's very action oriented. So we have ACTION, so it's active learning, coaching, talking small group. And let's find out what these are. So all our learning coming here today is passive learning. You don't get to participate. You don't get to discuss. So you may only keep 5% or 10%. So if you come to the class, you have ebook, you have small group discussion, you teach and talk to each other, you keep 90%. Wow, what a deal, right? And then implement the changes in your life. So it's not just head knowledge, not just heart conviction, but also hand application, and not just apply once. You keep repeating it and build a healthy habit. And then your maturity process and your progress. Every week when you have the homework, the minimum action is, what are you going to start doing? What are you going to stop doing? Do more and do less. So that is the one of the homework. The homework is very straightforward to reflect and apply. So after you learn the class, you got to have something change. If you don't change anything, you waste your time, you waste your energy. So today, hopefully you take something that you can change. Otherwise, you waste the time coming. And finally, we build up peer accountability. So we have angel pairs. If you don't have angel pair, the more you learn, the more you are depressed because you're not putting to practice. It's a vicious cycle. If we have angel pair, you help each other and you encourage each other and you have small group. Now it's a virtuous cycle. So my student designed this diagram because they really appreciate the way we learn. So finally, we have different devotions, English, Chinese. So scan this QR code. You can receive every Monday, English or Chinese, text and video. Thank God it's Monday devotions. And these are all the books organized in the 4 swim lanes, self-care, workplace, integrated life, or moving forward, which is devotions and many testimonies from our students. So same swim lane applied to our video. So on our YouTube, go check it out. There are a few hundred YouTube videos, Mandarin, some Cantonese and English. The channel is called to work with the ED, also organized in these 4 categories: swim, so it's self-care, workplace, integrated life, and moving forward. And then finally, the theology work is another set of resources. If you're a Christian, it's very powerful to learn from the Bible. What does it teach us about work? So we have this in English and 6 other languages, and I'm in charge of the Chinese. And then this QR code also take you to more video or text devotions. And this is our website, calltowork.org with an ED, YouTube, and the free devotion, so you can check it out. And finally, this one was the video you saw earlier. Last September, we were in Korea as part of the Lausanne conference, and I announced and launched the first annual Global Day of Faith at Work coming up on May 1st. So it's very, very exciting. So this day, we're going to celebrate work not just celebrate donuts and pizza, but also to celebrate our work. And May 1st is the International Labor Day. And it's also so happened it's a Thursday, which is the National Day of Prayer in the United States. So there's been many interviews in the past week, like the Far East, they have interviewed me for 2 hours, and they're going to roll this out into their 真爱住我家 in the last week of April, and then you be part of it. And these are the examples of the interview in the past week. 7 different interviews, and there are a few more next week to tell my story. Why do we have this? And these are the 40-some partners joining with us from around the world, business, church, ministries, and also seminaries. So on May 1st, we have 1 hour from all around the world, local time, 12 to 1 or anytime convenient. And we have agenda on our website and the resources that you can go visit and see all the material, both in English now and the Chinese site should be done next week. And we are very honored to have Chinese because I'm in charge of it. So we have Chinese and the other cultures don't. All right, now let's go into Q&A. I know there are many, many questions. So there were first 5 questions. Mingzhen, can you read this? This is the first one from Slido, and I
If
already
you're,
prepared some answer.
if your manager does not value your work and inputs, should you change job?
A lot of students would ask this question, and we need to first look into how is it that your boss does not value your work. So we'll have a second page to explain that. So start with a conversation in a polite way. Thanks for taking a few minutes. I wanted to share something I've been thinking about. So you schedule time to talk to your boss about that. Then share how you're feeling. Lately, I felt that my work and input aren't really being noticed or valued. Again, I statement. Then give a clear example. For example, I shared some ideas in our last meeting, but they didn't seem to get any response or follow up, right? State the facts. Show that you care. I care about the team and want to do a good job. I want to keep growing and contributing. Then ask feedback. Is there anything I could do differently? I really appreciate your thoughts. Look for a way forward. I'd like to understand how I can be more effective and feel more involved. So this is a very elaborate step-by-step communicating. Excuse me, I just sneeze. So a good way to communicate. Now, first, you need to see, how do you know that your manager doesn't value your work? Is it lack of recognition or praise? Are your ideas consistently ignored or dismissed? Do others get credit for your contributions? Are you excluded from key decisions or opportunities? Sometimes it helps to clarify exactly how do you feel that way. Sometimes we may be blindsided. So try to be objective and ask this question. Is it really lacking appreciation, or are you just high maintenance, having a high expectation? Or is it a miscommunication? So honest communication, again, going back to the one-on-one, is extremely critical. And have you tried to address it? Have you had a direct and respectful conversation, again, in your one-on-one, and how your manager know about how you feel? Have you sought feedback on how you can improve or align better with the team's goals? It's always about the team. Sometimes managers don't realize the impact of their behavior. Sometimes they didn't have bad intention. They may not even know about it. So it takes healthy, open communication. So you need to know how to bring it to light. And finally, how is the rest of the job? Do you enjoy the work, your mission, and your teammates? Is there growth potential, good pay, and work-life balance? This is to answer the question, should you change job? If most of your job is positive, and it might be worth trying to work through the issue. But if it's not being valued, and it may be just the tip of the iceberg, right? You need to figure out why. Is there something bigger underlying? Is it hurting your well-being or your career? Do you feel discouraged, anxious or disengaged? Are you being held back from growth or visibility? So a manager can make or break your experience and your development, and it's consistently toxic or demoralizing, then it may be reasonable to start thinking to go elsewhere. So bottom line, if you try to communicate and nothing changes, it's affecting your confidence, your career growth, and your well-being, then it's probably time to explore new opportunity. So it depending on your situation. So that's a very thorough analysis of how you look at whether your work is valued or not. So the second question from Slido,
Your boss is unfair and play favorism.
and I'm sure we've experienced that. So one of you asked that question. So again, you can assess the pattern. Is it repeated or is it one-time issue? And do they treat others the same way or is it just you? So try to be objective and then speak up respectfully. Have a direct and professional conversation in your schedule one-on-one or set up a time like the set of conversation we had earlier. Ask for feedback and how you can better meet their expectations. And then look for allies. Look for people who are on the side. They could be more objective. Look for allies, not to gang up against your boss, really to get their perspective and get their support. People you can trust, your mentors, or even HR if needed. Hopefully not, because that's usually kind of the last resort. And then check the culture and see how the whole company may be dismissive of employee input. And or is it just your manager? So is it single standalone issue or is it across the whole company? And then know your own value and have confidence that you are capable, you are able. And if you feel you're always ignored or underappreciated, it may hurt your confidence and growth. And then you may consider moving on and prepare and find new opportunity. And in our course, both the Chinese and the English one, we have 5 steps of seeking God's will. How do you know when to change and where to go? The third question. Yingzhen?
How do you have wisdom to deal with aggressive coworkers?
Wow, I know we could have aggressive coworkers, right? So here are some steps. Stay calm, take a deep breath, remember your EQ, and don't let that anger pull you down. Don't be the slave to their actions. You need to be your own boss, in charge of how you feel. Don't take it personally. Sometimes the behavior would say more about them than you because they are responsible for their actions and their words. Don't let their actions become your responsibility and speak calmly. So in our 5-week course, we're going to learn how to speak calmly. Many tools to help us in a steady tone. Don't go to the dirt with them. Don't go to the mat with them. Don't match their aggression and set boundary and say, I'm happy to talk when we can be respectful. And again, using the I statement and walk away if needed. It's okay to take a break. Well, I think we could take a pause and let's schedule a time to talk about it later, right? It's good for everyone to calm down and learn from the situation. What did you learn from it? And don't run into the situation again to avoid it. For example, if this person always gang up on you, then try to set up a meeting that has a few other people and people that have a good relationship or are able to work with them. And of course, all these help when you build relationships. So our leadership qualities can help to build better relationship with the aggressive coworker. Then it would help avoid these problems. And get support wisely. Talk to someone you trust. People who are objective. Be sure not to gossip though. And definitely pray. All these sticky situations, always pray for wisdom, for patience, and for peace. Question 4.
How to talk to passive aggressive family members?
Yeah, so same way in the family, similar, right? Stay calm, don't get pulled into the drama. Ask for clarity. I'm not sure what you mean. Can you explain? Right? Ask them to clarify. Be honest and kind. Feels like something's bothering you. So it's not you look frustrated. You say, feels like something is bothering you. Can we talk about it directly? And set boundary. Let's be open with each other. I value honesty. And don't try to fix them. A lot of times when people passive aggressive doesn't mean that they need a solution. Don't try to fix them. You can try to invite a better communication without forcing it. And step back if needed. Let's take a break and talk later. Again, need to pray for wisdom. The last question that I saw in Slido before this talk. Go ahead.
How to deal with a self-focused director?
Yeah. So the question is, this director is selfish, only focus on their own growth. And many students will ask me that. And then ask for support frequently and never support your own career growth. Wow. Not willing to share. What do? You stay calm and professional. Don't take their attitude personally. Again, the high EQ. Stay respectful and focused. And don't overserve, right? Help when needed and still set boundary, protect your time and energy. And use some of those statements that we learned today and say, I'm at capacity, we should prioritize. And ask clearly what you need. Don't just be passive and wait for support. I like to grow in this area. Can we talk about it? So that's again part of your one-on-one with your boss that we'll learn in the 5-week course. And then grow outside their shadow. Don't just let them control you. You have other ways. So in all my career, I have many mentors, both direct leadership and also different leadership. And some you can tell your boss, some you don't need to tell your boss. You have many mentors that you can grow across and outside of your own organization. That has a lot to do with how you build those relationships. And then track your success, keep a record of your wins so that it's in your resume, it's in your performance review, and you can articulate them. And we have tools in the 5-week course how to articulate and make your accomplishment very compelling, very clear, concise, and compelling. And then set boundary. Make sure that their selfishness should not block your future. And of course, always pray for wisdom, for strength, for courage, and grace. So that's all the questions I saw. So let's look at your questions.
The new questions.
Yes,
Wow,
if you want to share
the
the slide.
Q&A session is always the best part. I enjoy the most. How do you share my faith during crisis and difficulties?
Yeah, so during crisis and difficulties is actually the best opportunity to share your faith. For example, during COVID, I witnessed and I helped so many people to take alternative approach. Instead of all being stressed out, you make extra effort to care about their livelihood, not just about work, also personally say, how's your family doing? And any of these, I know we're facing many difficult situations with also the pressure from AI and so forth, and layoff, especially in the federal government or Silicon Valley. All those are challenges, and it's the good opportunity. If you have a Christian faith, you pray to have the strength, have the courage to care for them, and really the time that you can pray for them and go above and beyond your own usual level, being considerate, being graceful, and being thoughtful in some of the timeline, and be a good listener. Okay, next question.
How to interrupt a dominant speaker during group discussion?
Yeah, so we have a similar question earlier. Yeah, it happens all the time. So in a group meeting, when someone kept talking, then you would say, Mingzhen, I appreciate your many ideas. Let's also have the rest of the group respond to your ideas, and maybe they also have other alternatives so that we can capture more input from everyone to contribute to our team project. So we want to thank them, pause, and let other people speak. Next.
How to ask for vacation days off when you know your work needs to be covered by other coworkers.
Yeah, we all deserve vacations. Absolutely. So when other coworkers go on vacation, you also cover for them. So you need to be proactive. Again, this has a lot to do with your relationship with your boss, your one-on-one. These should be in your plan. And being proactive, knowing when you're going to take vacation, hopefully you're wise enough to take vacation that would not conflict with urgent deliverables to the degree that you're able. Sometimes it's out of your control. For example, one of my children was going on vacation and there's something big to be launched. And she was so thoughtful to lay out a whole plan. So you need to be proactive to make sure the people who cover for you know exactly what to do, when to do it and how to do it. So that's how you can plan and ask for your vacation day. In the same way, in return, you also cover for your coworkers. So win-win. Next.
How do you practice communication and listening skill?
Yeah, I had a slide in my PowerPoint that shows a student, one of my students, practice communication, and she summarized it in a nice table. I'll show it in the class during the 5-week course. But today, for a short answer, practice makes perfect, and a thick skin. That's how I learned English. That's how I learned Mandarin. I had no clue about Mandarin. I'm a native Cantonese speaker. I practice and then find a buddy, people who would tell you the truth, what you need to improve. Watch news, watch drama, and then find people to practice with you and listen. And then in meetings at work, find a communication buddy who you can trust and get coffee with them or thank them from time to time and let them tell you how you're doing with your communication. And my students also know their hot buttons. For example, filler words, and she would pay attention and listen to themselves more. And she would find skill such as paperclip. Every time she made some mistakes, she'll put a paperclip on and use it to track her own mistakes. And she have different color paperclip for different types of mistakes. So she's very diligent that way. Okay, next.
I think this one already answered. Should I change my job?
Yeah, good.
Next one, how do you understand firm in the Jinto and firm?
Oh, means that it's a principle, it's a value, it's a true, it's need. You would not compromise. And you're going to stand behind it. And yet, how do you communicate? So I always say people come before project and relationship comes before reasoning. Even though it's good reason and it's good logic that you need to be firm, and yet we need to be gentle. So grace and gentle and firm. Yeah, so firm is what is your value and what's true. Okay, next.
What are the best approach to ask for a raise?
We already answered that.
Similar that, yeah. Next one, what if after we express our concern in a gentle and firm way, the person who we work with still doesn't change his way of doing things?
Yes. So in our course, we're going to learn how to catch people do right. In a lot of these sticky situations, there's a magical 4-step. That is PRAY acrostic. P, you pray for them, pray for yourself. R, role model. You role model the right behavior, doing the right thing, doing it the right way. Role model. Start from yourself. You cannot expect to change people. Then A is affirm. The moment that you see them change a little inkling of doing the right thing, you right away affirm them. John, I really appreciate how you are calm in walking through this project, whatever it is, catch them do right. And then why is to yearn to build trust. Okay, next.
How do you ask for mentors, especially when I feel I can't give back because I'm remote?
Now, this is a very important question. Again, we'll cover more in our 5-week course or the 8-week Chinese course. I had many experience in asking for mentors. And when you're remote, it's even more difficult. So in my days, back then, mostly in person, I would run into different people and pray for the opportunity and able to make a connection. So when you say ask for mentors, we don't usually go and approach someone, can you be my mentor? That will be a little bit abrupt. Usually, unless if your company, and my company did, have mentoring program, that's different. That's great. If your company has mentoring program, then they structure and they do matchmaking, mentor and mentee, which is excellent. And you may take the initiative to design a mentoring program for your company, and then you can benefit from it. When you're remote, you still pray and look for the right mentor based on personality, skill, match, why you're interested in certain mentor, and then really need to be creative and find ways. When you work remote, you probably have to make an extra effort to say, can I schedule 15 minutes to discuss what you just shared? And I find very interesting, again, very professional way of approaching that. So not just asking them to be a mentor. You want to start some conversation based on something they did that you can add value. And then set a time. And if you can have a good 15 minutes, like a virtual coffee time, then you could eventually develop the relationship, hopefully to be a mentor. And make your best effort to go in person in order to make in-person connection. Okay, last 2 questions.
That's 2 questions. We're almost there. One of my report in the team is very capable, but often criticize other team members during one-on-ones. How can I make our one-on-one more valuable, less stressful?
Yeah. So that is similar to what we said, like gossip and so forth. So they're very capable. So call out there. So use the sandwich style, right? Here we go. Amy, you're really valuable worker and make good contribution. You have creative ideas and help the team to rally behind your ideas and make it work. And we know other team members may not be as creative. And that's an opportunity for you to grow and help them to be more successful. And that also grow your leadership, something like that, right? So that way you start, you see, I didn't say but, and, right? And how to build on their strength. And this way, our one-on-one meeting will be more productive to develop each team member, and criticizing them isn't going to be valuable, something like that. So really building them up and making suggestions. Was there another last question?
Yes, there are. Last one. One of my report in the team, sorry, I think the order is kind of how to deal with coworker that are not responding to me through emails, chat.
Yeah. Yeah. Chat is not the productive way to interact with people. Phone call. I work for AT&T. There's something called a phone, or you go to their desk. And of course, it all preface about your leadership, right? That's what we learned from the art of AQ leadership in the Chinese class, and about relationship building. You don't expect people just respond to your email, your chat. So you need to ask the reason question, meet them where they are. Maybe they don't pay attention to email and chat. I really encourage conversation. Last one.
How do you recommend using a higher offer to ask for a raise for my current job?
Yeah, so this is a whole elaborate. You can go check out my YouTube channel. There's a whole series on that. So you need to demonstrate that you deserve the higher raise and how to communicate. You need to do your homework in comparing similar job, similar living standard, geography, and so forth, and demonstrate how you are getting paid now and you're getting an offer, how you may need to be paid at a certain value. So similar concept as what we said, really value. Yeah.
Yeah, we are 15 minutes, a little bit over time, Elaine. And there
Yeah, so
are
we should
one
wrap up.
questions
One last one. Is
in the
someone raising
chat.
your hand or
Yeah,
chat?
another person raised their hand, another chat questions. So there are two. What do you think?
Yeah, we could answer the last two. And that's it. We'll
Okay.
wrap up.
Jindo, you raise your hand. Do you want to ask directly? And then we can go to the WeChat question.
Hi,
You
do
are
you
on mute.
1 second. I need
you need to unmute it. Okay.
Okay, maybe I can read the question first. Okay, in the
Okay, go ahead.
WeChat. And Jindo, you can wait a little bit. How to work with two of my managers who are not aligned with each other or even work against each other?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's tough. So this takes a lot of leadership, which is the art of AQ leadership, and takes a lot of good communication skill. So get to know these two managers, understand their personality, their style, and it's not going to be just you to help be the peacemaker, but try to see where they're coming from, what they care about, and how you could see their strength in each other and how they can complement each other. And ultimately, it's not just about certain sentences or skill. It's really how you have the leadership skill to influence them. It's for them to see collective partnership, the joint outcome is a big benefit for them. So this is kind of many sandwiches, right? That you have to give and practice. And really, it's a leadership for you to help them to see each other's strength and complement each other.
Okay, thank you. I think the last one,
Jindo, yes, I think
you'll be
he's
last one.
able.
Go
Hi,
ahead, you can speak.
Hi, this seminar is really helpful and I learned a lot. First, I want to thank the speaker.
Thank you, Jindo.
Yeah, and there is a very popular phenomenon that some coworkers, not a lot, a few coworkers, when they are really tough, aggressive, and they're let's say they don't have sense of shame. They don't when they always try to bully and harass coworkers. So how to help those workers who are afraid of them, who dare not speak up, who dare not speak back, or who dare not report to management? They're just scared. They're afraid of retaliation. So how to help these people?
Right. So the coworker who's a bully is a peer, right?
Yeah.
And you're saying how to help the other coworkers who have to work with the bully. Is that your
Yeah.
question? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're so gracious and so thoughtful to help them. So, yeah, as a Christian, definitely need a lot of prayer and how to deal with the bully. We want to set boundary. And why are they bullying? Sometimes, remember the reason question, the six REASON. Why did they bully? Why do, perhaps because they have lack of security, they want to show off and just bully to think that how good they are. So we want to walk alongside the other coworkers who are victims, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
victims and discuss with them, let them express their feeling and try to help them to set boundary and communicate. Now, eventually, if this bully consistently demonstrate that kind of behavior, I'm sure it's just not the victims. I'm sure the leadership and others also observe
right.
that.
That's
And
right.
eventually, all these action will reap a consequence. But in the meantime, for you to help the other victims is really to walk alongside, help them set boundary and apply some of our communication tools that we talked about today. And then kind of create some space and set apart from working with them if possible.
Yeah, that's one way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
eventually, you know, because in some of our video talk about there may be a boss who will be a bully, and there's a do's and don'ts of how you handle a boss who's a bully. Similar, you can look at that as for a coworker, they're bully. How do you interact with them as well? Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, we've gone
All
way
right, thank you.
over. Thank you,
Yeah, we
Jinda.
got way over 20 minutes, and I
So
want
let
to
me close
say,
us in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the gifts of communication. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for the Holy Spirit, for your word that guide us. And may you bless everyone who has come today, the 160 or 70 people who have come, whether they know you or not, that they see you are the source of wisdom, and we can always count on you to help us deal with all these sticky situations, whether in English, learning how to shine your talk, or in Chinese, the art of AQ leadership, that really help equip and build us up to be a better worker and to enjoy our work while living our mission. Thank you, Lord. And thank you for Minzhen, Naomi, and all the co-workers supporting us, and for everyone who has come. And may we continue to learn and shine for you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.